Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. Turns out yesterday, during a sitting of the House of Commons, the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, was talking about how many Canadians are unfortunately suffering and struggling with hunger and being able to afford their groceries due to inflation and everything else, right? But when he brought this up, Conservatives laughed.
Speaker, 1 out of every 4 Canadian in this country is going hungry because they cannot afford their groceries. At the same time, corporations are making record profits. They're breaking record after record. Our plan is to tax the excess.
I'm going to ask the honourable member to start from the top so that we can all hear his question. The honourable member for Burnaby South.
I just mentioned that Canadians are hungry, and I hear laughter in the chambers. Yeah. They should be ashamed of themselves. One out of every 4 Canadians is hungry because they cannot afford their groceries, while corporations are making record profits and are responsible for 1/4 of the inflation that Canadians are experiencing. Our plan is to tax the excess profits of these corporations and put the money directly into the pockets of Canadians who need it. When will this government stop protecting the wealth of these corporations and start standing up for families who need help right now?
Conservatives who have the audacity to claim that they care about the working class and the poor and the hard done by, and they are such good giving people, when it came to Canadians literally starving and skipping meals and unable to afford things because of inflation and everything else, they laughed. They laughed at the suffering of up to 1 in 4 Canadians, many of whom would likely vote for this party, by the way. And unfortunately, right, that's kind of the problem here, that a great many people who would vote for the Conservative Party are probably not even going to be aware that this was something that happened. That, this is Justin Trudeau's problem, that it's totally, his fault for inflation and everything, and not say the whole global apparatus of capitalism that has stressed the supply chain to its absolute limits, and so there are all kinds of pushbacks and delays, and people being sick, not to mention millions of people in the workforce around the world dying due to said pandemic. That's why everything seems to be getting more expensive, and yet the wealthy have made billions of dollars by doing nothing during this pandemic. Loblaws, the biggest of the Canadian grocery chains, which again engaged in bread fixing prices and still made, their apology so incredibly lackluster, who also took away hero pay for their frontline workers during the earliest days of the pandemic, and who also actively lobbied Doug Ford's Conservative government in Ontario to not increase the minimum wage because that would hurt their profits. That would mean another $190 million in operating costs, rather than helping, again, Canadians who are working at these places which we deemed were essential, and now still, in spite of it all, Loblaws is making billions in profit. In fact, I'm pretty sure they just had their best quarter ever, by the way. And unfortunately, many of their own workers can't afford to shop there due to depressed wages and skyrocketing inflation, which again is really just a money grab by all these fucking corporations that people are, for whatever reason, simping for. And unfortunately, we still can't even manage to pass a wealth tax in the House of Commons. So real Canadians, regardless of their political stripes, are suffering. They are suffering and literally starving. And one of the major fucking parties has the audacity to laugh at that situation. And if you can't tell, that's definitely what's bothering me today.